Hey everybody, Joe Friesen here again with our latest trike update. Last time you joined me I thought I had a bad valve on the trike, and turns out it was something else. But first, before I get to that, I gotta thank Greg Highgard from the Antique Motorcycle Club for coming down and helping me out with this. He was very instrumental in me troubleshooting and finding out where my leak was. So he came down and we threw what they call a leak down tester on the unit, onto my trike. And what we found there is we went onto the number 4 cylinder right away, because that's what I'm having problems with, and we heard some air getting through. And when we listened to it, it wasn't coming out the intake, it wasn't coming out the exhaust, and there was some you could hear out where you fill the oil. So we figured rings maybe, and so okay, well, we'll check the other ones. So we checked, it goes 4321 I think is the firing order, and or 1432. Yeah, and so we went through that and checked all of them and didn't really hear anything except through the rings on them. So we went back to number 4 because I thought it had sounded different, and we threw it back on there, and there was a little bit coming through the rings, but we could hear a hissing coming out of somewhere. So I stuck my head underneath, and it was coming from the jug somewhere. So I'm like, oh shoot, okay, well there's a head gasket leak or something. So Greg was good enough to leave the leak down tester here with me so I could start dismantling the engine. What I did is I had to take off the carburetor, intake, end shields, and the end shields didn't want to cooperate with me. There's 4 little screws holding down these shields, and I had an issue getting them out of there, obviously, because that one snapped off. That one snapped off flush. That one snapped off flush, and this one was completely loose. So I won't be running those heat shields anymore. I've heard different opinions from other people on whether you need the heat shields or not. They say even distribution of the cooling air, and I can see that, but the way it is and how open it is, I don't think you really need them. So if I notice anything bad happening, or if I scorch a cylinder or something, I'll put them back on. I'll drill everything out, tap it again, and do it proper. But for now, I want to just get this thing back on the road and get it going if I can this summer sometime. That's one thing. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on myself to get this thing done. I have a lot of other priorities, a lot of other things going on in my life. Recovery, not working anymore, going through recovery. If you're interested in seeing what's gone on in my life the last while, and that sort of thing, the reason that I quit my job, all that sort of thing, I have a series called Rubber's Conversation. I'm going to leave a playlist link up there so you could check that out. I'd appreciate it if you guys would check that out. You could see what I'm going through and what I'm doing right now. So yeah, we got these heat shields off, pulley cover. I was amazed how easily the doghouse came off, because it's basically held on by 2 number 10 bolts on either side, and there's a strap here that holds the alternator onto the alternator stand, and that's the only thing that holds that in place. So now the only thing that's going to be holding this doghouse in place is the 4 bolts that hold the alternator onto the doghouse. So I'm a little worried about vibration and noise and things moving, but this is pretty solid, so I don't think there'll be much of an issue, because it's basically just airflow, right? So it shouldn't be that bad. Anyway, yeah, I'm sure I'll get differing opinions of that along the way, but if you have experience with it, leave me a comment and let me know what the reality of that situation is. Anyway, so I got all this off, and then I threw the leak down tester on it again to check and see exactly where the problem is. So I'm going to put air to the leak down tester again, and we're going to see exactly where this leak is. I'll set this there. Okay, so you throw the leak down tester on, and you can hear immediately there's air loss. So when you have a look, grab my flashlight, have a look around, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the camera will probably pick up a lot of wind noise in a second, so sorry about this. That is I don't know the different names of my gaskets and stuff yet. So like I said in my last update video, I'm very inexperienced when it comes to actual motors, modifying stuff, body, electrical, that kind of thing. I love it, have a blast with it. When it comes to actual motors, don't have a lot of experience. So I take the air off of there, and now I know what I need to do. All right, I guess we'll pause for a second while this runs. Hang on, unplug my compressor. Plug that in again later so it can come back up to pressure, but don't need it on right now. So that's where I'm at. We got a head gasket leak. I'm gonna take the exhaust and the head off and see what we can see how bad it is, and see what other kind of damage we can find. So I've also been doing some cleaning up, just kind of trying to get a few years of the gunge off of it. I've owned this thing for many years, and like I say, I've had the doghouse off once, and well, when I was talking about how I was surprised how little was holding it on there, I'd just forgotten it'd been so long. So that was back when I traded from the generator to an alternator. I did a generator, regulator, rectifier swap to the alternator. It's just more reliable, less maintenance, better voltage quality coming out of it. So I figured that was one of the upgrades that I would do. I also did disc brakes instead of the drums, and what was it? Oh yeah, electronic ignition. So everything that I've done so far seems to have made it better. I also added an oil cooler. And yeah, so we'll take it apart and we'll work on making the engine better. It's my goal with this thing, is just to improve it as I go along. I was planning on doing an engine rebuild this winter, so if I get it apart and I won't have enough time to get it back together before winter, I might just take the whole thing apart and keep going. I'm not quite sure which way this is going to go yet, so I'll either take it apart, get my parts quickly, put it back together in amongst all of the other things that I have going on, or I'll just do it slowly over the rest of the summer and just end up taking the whole thing apart anyways at the end of it. So we'll see how things go. Life is crazy. Everything happens for a reason, and we'll figure out this reason yet. So thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate you tuning in for these trike updates, and I'll keep giving you updates as I go along. So I'm going to continue doing an update series for my other bikes once I start working on them. Whatever I'm working on, basically it'll be trike updates, Suzuki updates, Harley updates, Toyota updates, Jeep updates. Whatever I'm working on, I'll do Jeep updates and all that stuff. My Cherokee's coming back soon, I hope. Depends on the shop that I've got it at. But anyway, enough of that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace. We'll catch you next time. I'm out. Oh, one other thing. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody else on the AMCM Facebook page, or whoever sent emails offering advice and bits and pieces. I really do appreciate the feedback. I hope you're still watching this because it's the end of the video. I should have probably said this sooner. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and yeah, cheers. Thanks again. Another follow-up note for everybody out there that's saying, well, why didn't you put heat on those studs to get them off of the covers? I did, and it didn't work. So I couldn't get enough heat on them, I don't think, because they're surrounded by sheet metal. So it was a bit of an issue, and eventually they just broke off from the effort that I was putting into getting them off of there. So these things happen. Later.